What's going on, everybody? Zach Walker here with John Evans from LP Decatur. That'd be Lifepoint Decatur. They came over for lunch. He didn't know. But I was like, hey, man, what time you got to be back? He was like, I'm not in any real rush. I said, great. Hang tight for about 15 minutes. We're going to go live. So John is the executive pastor, which makes him important in case you're not familiar with how the churches are set up. I'm kidding. That's a joke, Gabe. I know you're probably watching. But no, we were talking today a lot about, in fact, the very genesis of the relationship that is growing here is the coronavirus and what it's doing to churches. Your response to that being needing to reach people with content on a regular basis. And so one of the things we've talked about here before is even yesterday was like, it feels like there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this. And I know that's hard for a lot of people right now because maybe it's super, it's tough to feel that amidst all the chaos. And I get that. But from a church perspective, I'd love to get your input on kind of, I don't know, let's start at where, holy crap, we're not going to be able to meet for potentially 8 weeks. What's that? Walk me through that first, that reaction and that response. I mean, you guys were already streaming service, but as far as the rest of it goes, you have the team in place maybe, but not necessarily the equipment or the ability to create weekly, multi-a-week content to engage. So talk me through how that kind of went down.
Yeah, so first of all, for us, this was a terrible time for something like this to happen. We were in the midst of a 14-day fast with our church family. We were so looking forward to break that fast together on the 22nd of March, and quite honestly, we held on probably a little too long. We pushed it right to the last minute, and finally just made the decision. We didn't have another choice but to go all digital. And so through Gabe's leadership and just his vision, we started talking about this digital ministry platform and what that would look like. And so we began to explore ideas, what that would look like for each aspect of our ministry to be able to be engaged with their people on a daily basis for the most part. And so what we did was we just started brainstorming, coming up with ideas. What does it look like for our LP kids? What does it look like for our LP students and our Loop, which is our preteen ministry? And so what does all of that look like to go digital? And so it took a lot of innovation, a lot of equipment that Zach has helped us out with.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of fun. And I'm sorry, I'm sharing this out on Facebook. I saw Gabe called. Answer the phone. Let me see that. Oh, wait, he should have called my phone. Hello, Gabe. Gabe, this is Zach. We're live streaming right now. Can we call you back, buddy? All right, thanks, man. Check us out on Facebook. All right. So that was Gabe. That was the other pastor from LifePoint. But no, one thing I've seen a lot of churches do is again, the service piece, that's a very difficult stream. If we're being honest, the amount of money that's invested in equipment to do that is significantly greater. So if you're already streaming your services, you have a lot of what it takes to create content. And I know today, this is the digital content creation age for business and for everybody, for humanity. Sure. And we've had a conversation today about the parallel between church and business and how a lot of maybe churches don't necessarily look at the church as a business, and it's not in the same way that you're attempting to make a profit or those things, but certainly you have a message that people like us believe is the truth, is the inspired truth of the doctrine of the Lord and the gospel, and you're hoping to convince people to believe the truth of your message in the same way that I'm hoping to convince people to buy their furniture from my store or whatever it is. And so one of the things that and one of the reasons you reached out to us was because we've gotten good at digital messaging, digital content creation as it pertains to brand building, which is no different than what a church is doing right now, because they're saying, whoa, we rely on, because let's break it down. We rely on people coming to our building and tithing, giving of their abundance of their heart, to keep doors open, to have people on staff, to do a lot of that stuff. And so there is a portion of this that is rooted financially in some, I think in some amount to keeping the ability, for people to keep the doors open, right? And so how do we engage the people? How do we, one, engage them? Two, and more importantly, how do we truly connect, disciple, grow, and keep pouring into and investing in our people in an effective manner. And so what are some of the things that you guys have kind of responded with? And it's a question I know the answer to because I'm helping you do it, but just because a lot of people out there, business and church, have called. You're not the only church that called me and said, hey, man, how do you do what you're doing over there? And we love to help. I went and I came and sat with you guys yesterday for your live stream, and I just enjoy this because I enjoy digital content creation. As Jeremiah said, it was the first time he'd seen me be involved in the video and not be in front of the camera, and I got to admit, that was a little weird. But no, what are some of the steps you guys are taking to engage with people outside of the corporate gathering on Sundays?
Yeah, so the engagement aspect of it actually starts just at a relational level, right? So it's making the people trust you and what you're going to do. And so when you make huge decisions like this, and let's be honest, this is truly uncharted waters that we're in right now with respect to, the restrictions that are put in place. So, having people trust you, the fact that you're going to get the information to them is part of that, and it really is the foundational aspect of it. But in addition to that, it's making sure that people are informed. So you use different platforms and outlets to make sure that people are informed to what you're going to do. So we use our apps, our website, things like that to communicate when we're going live, what kind of information that we're going to have. And we've been fortunate enough to be able to, so far, just in the last week of doing this, to have content just about every day with the exception of Monday. And so we've got, kids engaged, we got students engaged, we've got our preteen ministry engaged. Cool. And then, it's really awesome because Gabe and I got to go live yesterday and lead a Bible study that, basically the premise of that was we want to continue to educate and to disciple our people, even though we can't be in person each week. And so it was really awesome for us to start that yesterday. And we said, as we began that podcast yesterday, it's, for us, it doesn't matter if this quarantine lasts 3 weeks or 9 weeks. We're gonna carry this thing out, and it's really given us a unique opportunity to learn better ways to do ministry. And so this is just, even though it's uncharted waters, it's an opportunity for us to be able to come in and say, dude, we can do ministry more effectively that way, and we're really excited about it. And
Gabe just joined us live. Gabe, if you're out there listening, man, you call me, seriously, call my cell phone, and we'll add you to this discussion because I'd love to get your input on some of this stuff. But where do you think, John, that maybe I think that a lot of churches have missed the boat on this because it's a response to a virus. It's a response to seeing, we can't do what we're supposed to do. Now we're reacting. What would you maybe say? Like, one thing I'm saying is like the what you did yesterday, the Bible study, the D groups. I'm seeing a lot of Facebook posts. We're Zoom meeting with our D groups. Mm-hmm. Why have we been so reluctant? And I think the American church has been reluctant to acknowledge this. We say, it works in business. It works in online school. Hold on one second. Gabe's joining us. Gabe, hold on. Let me get you dialed in here. Can you hear us, Gabe?
Yep.
All right, Gabe Ross, executive pastor, lead pastor. Right? The church titles always get me all twisted up, man. I'm not hip to the church lingo, but Gabe, I don't know if you've watched the first 3 minutes, if you were one of the 2 people watching, but we were talking about the response to this virus and how the church is pivoting, and the question I just asked John was what I feel like the American church has been slow to, or has even been unwilling to or resistant to the concept of using this medium to connect with people beyond Sunday service. And I'm not talking about putting out information or videos. I'm talking about engaging in Bible study and discipleship through this platform. And kind of why do you think that is?
I would say that it's foreign to us. We're used to hands-on. And so face-to-face obviously is the easiest way, and probably I would still say best way to do discipleship. However, we live in a society and a world today that we just aren't as together as we used to be. There are other things competing for our time and attention, and it's just harder to think this way. So it's a philosophical change, and it's also just an effectiveness idea of how effective can you be digitally to train and disciple people, but we know it can happen. It's just learning the most effective ways to make that happen. So I think it's just foreign to us. We weren't brought up this way and told that it could happen this way.
Well, and I think, and one of the things we talked about today after you left, Gabe, was that I feel like there's a generation of people like myself. I got a Facebook when I was 17. I was in college, my freshman year of college. I was 18 years old. I've been on Facebook since I can remember, and I've not been engaged with a church social media wise in a way that maybe it felt natural or felt like maybe I would engage with other businesses or brands. And so the concept of influencer marketing and all this stuff that's out there that's driving, I mean, you've got businesses paying 6 figures for single post on Instagram pages of these celebrities. I think there's an entire generation of people who may be not engaged in the church right now, that may well become, I don't know, familiar with church or what a church looks like, because a lot of people don't want to walk through a church door for fear of judgment or for fear of a past or for fear of, what their lives look like, or what they did last weekend even. And so this is giving us an opportunity to get into their living room. Do you guys think that there is a generation of people out there like me? And I was raised in the church, so I'm not maybe the best example. I was going to church before Corona and I'll be going afterwards, but there are a lot of people in my age group that are mid-30s, young 30s, late 20s. Maybe they have a kid. Maybe they grew up in church. They went to college. We all know how that goes for most people. And then now they're back and they're saying, "Man, I'd really like to get connected, but one, I don't see a church that looks like me. I don't find anybody on the internet that connects with me." So, I mean, is this going to force us to an opportunity to a new group of people? And if so, what are we doing to make sure that we get their attention?
It is an opportunity, for sure. And we talked about this several times. Like during this time, first of all, people are isolated in their homes right now. And they basically binge watched all the Netflix shows that you can.
That's fact,
right? They've done everything that you can do inside the home. They've done game night. They've done hangout time with their kids. They've done all this stuff, and there's going to come to a point where they're just bored and they're looking for stuff.
I think we're there. I think we're there, right?
Yeah, and sure. It gives us a unique opportunity, to be able to show up in their house, at their convenience.
Yeah.
And for them to be able to see what each place is about. I had a guy tell me just the other day, "Hey, it's a great time for us to be able to look for a church." Right?
Exactly right.
Because what happens is I can sit in the convenience of my home and basically test run all these
without
these
fear
churches,
of judgment,
without fear of judgment,
without fear of rejection.
Right, exactly. And so the comfort level of having to walk into a church and be uncomfortable around these people they don't know goes away in these moments. And so it's kind of forced, but it's also just this awesome opportunity for
unintended consequences.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that I really want to dive in on, and again, the church service on Sunday is off the table here. Everybody's doing that, okay? Now, some are not doing it very well because, quite frankly, it's very expensive, and so that's something that we could certainly discuss for a long time, is the financial preparedness and a commitment a church has to make to do that well. But what you don't have to do a lot of financial commitment for is committing to those videos that are the 5 and the 10 and the 15 and the 20-minute videos that are going to dive into people's living rooms with the Bible wide open, with Scripture in front of you, with that one-on-one. If you're an effective communicator, people feel like, I hope, when I'm talking, they feel like that I'm talking to them because I can engage and communicate with people in a way, I think, that's effective. You have that opportunity being one-on-one with somebody, because in a Bible study with 4 people in the room, you're 4-on-1.
Right.
You could be in a Bible study with 25 people, and if you're the only one talking and they're the only one in their room listening, you are now one-on-one. And so those pieces of content. So you guys have the Bible study that you and Gabe are doing, which was yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. That's you two sitting down, talking through a scripture or a message or a passage or a concept, and diving into that. You've got the kids ministry stuff. What kind of a commitment and what kind of plan do you guys have to do that regularly? Gabe, after this is over, is this going to create a new channel for you where you guys are now able to dive out into the community in that more one-on-one environment, even though it's just on a screen? Is that something you guys plan to commit and stick with?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll look the same way as it does now, but this honestly has forced us to take action on some things we have discussed for probably 2 years, and even in that we were kind of behind the norm, I guess you would say, in churches that are being more effective, because a lot of us were brought up, as I said earlier, we were brought up in a certain style and way of doing church and ministry, and you felt like everybody had to be together to be able to grow. And as leaders, ministers, we kind of held the reins a little too tightly, that they had to be in front of us and with us to actually grow in their faith. But I think what happened, as y'all mentioned earlier, unintended consequences, what it did is it made people rely on pastors and ministers for their spiritual growth.
Boom.
Instead of doing it themselves. So I think this, especially the way we have approached the Bible study, is we're asking people to do some study, and we've given them tools and a template to do that throughout the week on their own, so that when we gather together online, we are discussing what we have all seen and studied on our own. So I think this really will kind of help a little bit of separating the sheep and the goats type ordeal, in the sense that you're going to find out who's really serious about the faith and who's really not. And you're going to find out which churches are really serious about making disciples.
That's right.
And which are just more serious about gathering people together.
Yeah.
And I want us to be on the side of really learning how to make disciples. And it doesn't have to be a 30-minute sermon. It can be a 5-minute, like you said, a 5-minute video of content that people can consume and absorb at any point in time throughout the week. And they can use that, or God can use that, to spur them or to grow them in their faith individually, as we also gather collectively.
That's awesome. Look, Gabe, I know you're probably quite busy. I put you on the spot and had you call in. I'm going to let you ride, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for giving us a call. Again, that's Gabe Ross, lead pastor over at Lifepoint Church. But one of the things he said really caught me, that I think it just hit me right now. Like, maybe I ask you, why do you think churches were hesitant? And I think maybe the answer lies in this, and it's a terrifying thought, but maybe now your theology, what you believe, what you claim, what you preach is now not just going to be shown to those who are buying into you and your version of things, but now it's public. And now you have to show to the general public, to complete strangers, you've got to show them what you believe. You've got to show them who you are, really. And a congregation is literally shepherd, right? Shepherd and sheep. You follower and leader. And so a lot of times we see in a lot of churches, and we talked about it, the kingdom mentality, right? I'm the king of my kingdom, which is my church. I think it'll be interesting to see, and I think maybe the fear and commitment is what if I'm not sold out to what I'm supposed to be sold out to, and maybe my message isn't where it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to be exposed. Mm-hmm. And within that church circle, I know there's a lot of fear of others. Look, I mean, there's judgment. There's rightfully so in a lot of ways, biblically. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. What do you think on that? I mean, do you think that has anything to do with it?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think that's some of it. I think people are just hesitant in general because you get comfortable in your comfort zone, right? I mean, you're comfortable in your zone and in your lane, and that's the direction you run. And quite frankly, we've done church for years just because that's the way mama did it or dad did it or grandpa and grandma did it, okay? And so we get comfortable in that just like we get comfortable in anything else in life. So, just thinking of ways outside the box to do things, it has some I guess aspects of it can be attributed to, we're a little bit uncomfortable with people seeing how we do things or what we do, but just this mentality of that's just the way we've always done it, right? I mean, that is the mindset of most people, and it's a hard thing to break that. And so being able to come along and to put forth a new kind of thought process and how you do things, thinking outside the box, to borrow the old cliche, and starting to gear yourself to do ministry differently, I think opens up these pathways and these doorways for people, like you said, that may never darken the door of a church, but get to experience the gospel right where they are, which is what Jesus did. If you look, Jesus's ministry didn't take place in the temple for the most part. He went to people.
Hey, I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
It didn't take place
for
in
anybody
the temple,
listening.
right?
And I think, again, it goes back to my point. And look, I am not I know I probably come across devil's advocate or like I feel like the church doesn't do this or doesn't do that right. The reality is I grew up in a very different kind of a church with a very different, not the mission or purpose. That was the same for the most part. But I grew up, I tell people this all the time, my testimony, like I was so far, if you imagine walking down the Appalachian Trail, right, there's hundreds of miles of this, people go hike it all the time. Let's imagine for a moment we're hiking down that trail and we fall off the trail where we can still see the trailhead. We know that we can be heard if we scream. We know that whatever, a lot of people, when they get lost, they get there. If you live my life, I made terrible decisions. I was so lost, you needed a mounted search party, a helicopter, you name it, right? And so me coming back back to faith in Christ some 6 years ago was a walk for me. And I've been encountered a bunch of different things along the way. And one thing that is so big is it's that being able to get outside that church building and get into the community and love on the people that feel unlovable. They're not unlovable, but they feel unlovable. And with this shift and this chaotic last minute, just curveball kind of a shift, we've now opened up the opportunity by force, right? Churches that were maybe unwilling or scared or just so traditional that wasn't something they do. If they want to connect with their members, they're going to have to now get outside the church building and do something different. And it's a streaming platform, it's a Facebook Live, it's a whatever. But my hope is that it stays this way and it connects. It connects for a long time, right? And so, I put a message out this morning by John Evans, Pastor John Evans. Is that his name? It's
Tony Evans.
Tony Evans. There it is. And he was talking about how just great illustration. His wife didn't want anything to do with him when they were courting, and she was real hesitant and all that. And he said, I got an idea. And he took her to an amusement park and put her on a dangerous, scary ride. And in the midst of that chaos, she just inched on over there and because she wanted to be held and she wanted to be secured and she wanted to be embraced by someone who was bigger, stronger, comforting, all those things. And he correlated that back to the church and God and the situation we're in right now. Mm-hmm. What if, and again, please don't hear me say God struck the nation down with the coronavirus to intentionally get the church on Facebook. Like, that's ridiculous. Don't email me with that, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is maybe through this, we can learn that in chaos, we can draw nearer to someone who's bigger, stronger, better, loves us more, and cares deeply about us more than we could even imagine. And it took that chaos to get us to learn that.
So I think you look at the story of Job in the Bible. I mean, that's in essence is the theme of that entire book of the Bible. Is Job had everything going for him, right? In fact, God called him a perfect and upright man. He said, he's have you considered him? Right? And so you see the things that Job went through, and basically through that, God was able to show him, align your thoughts and your mind on me.
That's so good.
And so the thing is, Job began to question who God was, and in these moments of chaos and tragedy and all these things, God got to come back to Job and said, where were you when I created all this, bro? Where were you when I spun all this into motion? Were you counseling me in that moment? Otherwise, sit down and let me show you who's in charge. And so I'm not saying God struck the nation with coronavirus either. That's ridiculous to think so. But I do know this. God allows things to happen for a reason. And so if that means for us to once again focus on the priority of showing people Jesus through what we do,
fact,
it is what it is.
Well, and at the end of the day, look, it all points to him, right? No matter what it is, good, bad, indifferent, death, cancer, success in the same way, it's supposed to all point back. And so regardless of whether or not he open the corona cage and let it loose on us. Again, that's not what we're saying. But what we are saying is that through this, like, it's going to point back there. Right. And so our job is to try to find that. And again, this is a business podcast all the time. Yeah, he has a business degree. But right before we went on, we were just talking about how the correlation. So for those of you out there that maybe aren't, this is a very church heavy episode, which I love, and I'll do this every week for all I care. But for those of you that maybe don't see or don't have a church, don't visit one, first of all, I would encourage you to try one online, because you don't have to go to the building. Check out Lifepoint Decatur this Sunday. I'll be the guy behind the camera that you can't see. But no, it's one of those things that in a business perspective, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's talk about how people have pivoted business-wise in the same way, right? The church has their response. Businesses are trying to follow suit. Here's the difference. Churches had to do it quickly to not lose their people. Businesses are trying to do it quickly so that they can keep their businesses open and keep their bills paid. So I asked a guy I interviewed yesterday, what is the coolest thing you've seen thus far with all these small businesses out there just like flipping things on their head, trying to keep a dollar coming in? What's the best pivot you've seen from a small business to keep money coming in the door?
I think mine has been to see these restaurants who are immediately pivoted to curbside service. I mean, they realized that their in-house dining was shut down, and so immediately they began to pivot in that way.
Which restaurant did it the best? In Decatur. Was it Tyler Jones?
Tyler Jones.
Well,
Yeah. So there's several hometown establishments in Decatur.
If you haven't been to Tyler Jones Establishments, Rail Yard and High Point Market, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
High Point. Man, Tyler's he's unbelievable. He's a genius and business minded. He and I find a lot of common ground and all that. He's very creative, and in fact, I think I owe him for a charcuterie board. If you're watching, bro, I got your checkbook here. But no, it's one of those things where, again, we're talking about the church today, but it applies across the board. It's businesses, it's churches, it's schools. Hey, check this out. Maybe public schools can provide online homeschool educational content, and people can make a choice.
Right.
Maybe they can make a choice, and maybe they say, I want to homeschool my kid on your curriculum, because we have proven our teachers are clearly the most undercompensated and under appreciated assets in our nation, because in a matter of days, they took an entire year of online curriculum and said, hey, watch this. Boop. And they put it online like that. And there was a lot of people that went into that, but our teachers are not getting any recognition in a lot of this. And Keith's wife works in education. And so I've heard step by step how they've responded to this. Guys, we've got to embrace this. We've got to embrace, like, the technology. I mean, you can do what we're doing right now for like $200. Like, we're not doing it with $200, but we did when we started. I promise you that. Right over there's a rack with some equipment on it that if you've only got $200, I got you, because I started with that kind of stuff, but I saw the commitment and how it impacted my business in the same way that you're seeing the commitment impact the church. And so this is so much bigger than that. Let's talk about just life lessons from chaos. Anytime you go through anything in life, if you don't try to find, it's a golf adage, right? I don't know if you play golf, John, but every golf shot you hit, no matter how good or how bad, I'm not a very good golfer. I'm good at a lot of things in my life, and that's a very frustrating sport for me because I'm still not getting any better at it, right? And I don't practice a ton, which would be great, but every bad shot you hit, I was told very early, find something good in that shot, because if not, it'll be very miserable playing the game of golf. And it applied across my life in that right now, dude, I've got 2 retail stores that I've had to close doors on, okay? I've got employees that are, and partners that are relying on me to figure out a way to put some money in the bank so I can write paychecks every Friday, right? I've got to find something in this corona crisis to make it, to learn from, or else this will go for nothing. It'll all be for naught. We will as a country have endured all of this and walked away with nothing but like self-pity and just anger. And look, as the stimulus package is passed, we could dive into that and we would be here for another hour. I'm not going to do that. Thank God they stopped playing politics and finally put the country first. Right. But look, at the end of the day, whether you're going to get that check or not, I've got no idea. Honestly, I don't believe what politicians say, any of them. I don't care what side of the aisle. So when they stand up there and say, every American's going to get $3,000, we'll see. When that check hits the bank, I'll believe it, right? But if it doesn't happen, it's okay. I'm going to find a way. I'm reliant on the gifts God gave me and Him, trusting in Him and obedience to Him to help me find a way out of this from a business perspective. I know that from the church perspective, you guys are operating much in the same way, just saying, hey, God, we don't necessarily know how to do this, but we got to. And necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so, look, we're running out of time, and I know that you have to get back to Decatur because our 12:30 lunch meeting has extended well beyond its allotted time period, which usually happens when we get together, which is no problem. But, some parting words maybe that you have that I'm so excited, and I don't want churches. They have so much momentum online right now, whether they know it or not. We watched like 60 people. 60. That's a big number for a live stream. Right. I know. Look, we're not Church of the Highlands. The membership numbers are not the same. Right. So clearly, don't compare apples and oranges, orangutans, apples and orangutans. You can't compare them either. Don't compare those either because they're different. But no, 65 people tuned in live to watch a Bible study. Yeah. If you just said, hey, church, we're going to have a Bible study on Tuesday at noon, would 65 people show up?
5 people.
5 people. Yeah. Think about that. And that's business. That's education. That's the church. That's anything. This technology will change. It has. We've just been slow to accept it or maybe slow to deploy it in a way that is so effective. So a few final words here before I send you. Well, I know if I keep talking, he's not just going to get up and walk out. So I'm trying to be respectful of his time. So a couple of things. I mean, if you've got anything going forward, I mean, first of all, let them know how to find you guys on the internet. But secondly, anything you've got to close us out with.
Yeah, so you can find us at lpdecatur.org. That's LifePoint Decatur. It's lpdecatur.org. You can find us in any YouTube. We have obviously our
YouTube is LP Decatur. It's new. Go subscribe. Luther set that up last night. We've got some cool graphics going out there today, but LP Decatur. It's not
Decatur,
because there was like 463, 762,000.
That's right.
Lake Point, or Life Point.
Yeah, so LP Decatur. So that's that. And then the thing I would say, just I guess a parting shot or whatever would be, everything that you do doesn't have to be monumental. It doesn't have to be this huge shift. I thought about that in regards to the restaurants and what they were doing. Everything doesn't have to be life altering or earth shattering. Just do something and start taking those steps towards accommodating people and getting into people's living rooms. You have an amazing opportunity right now as a business, as a church, or whatever, to reach out into people's living rooms. That's something that's never been done before. And so our that new way of being able to do that, just technology giving us the ability to do that, is unbelievable. And we should utilize that. Not only should we utilize it, but we should do it often and do it well. And so, like Zach said, if you start out with $200 worth of equipment to do something like this, if it looks crappy, it don't look like this, you slowly begin to develop it to look better and better and better, to where one day it does look high resolution and very high tech, and you want that. But like I said, just do something. It doesn't have to be monumental. My
iPhone, turn it around.
Absolutely.
Talk to it.
Absolutely.
Just get out there, connect with people, folks. They want to connect. Here's what I found, and I know this applies in the church, because there, more than anything, people want real.
Right.
They want real. I grew up in a church where you walk in, hey, how are you today? I'm great. Well, are you? Because probably the mortgage is a month and a half late, and my wife's going to leave. And it was just, and that's just, a lot of that is generational. It was a society where things look different, and there wasn't as much just raw honesty maybe as there was today. But people want to know who you are. When I started Revolved Realty, my commitment was, I want people to know me. I want to let them in my life. I want them to meet my wife. I want them to meet my kid. I want them to see the good, the bad, the ugly. I was one of the only guys out there that was putting out Instagram posts about when I had a house that sat on the market longer than it's supposed to because I made a mistake. I once made a 2-month, I listed a house and didn't get it on Zillow. Like, you talk about catastrophic mistake that cost me, it cost me a client and some money, but I learned a lot. And I was honest with that. And so, I don't care if it's an iPhone. I don't care if it's a flip phone. For the love of God, flip that joker open, turn it around, and talk to people. I mean, this is free, guys. This is costing me nothing right now. And so, at the end of the day, we try to come live in the midst of all this and talk about things that are real, that are tangible, that are affecting your life. And I think today we've done that. Here's what I want to. I've got an idea brewing, which is. You don't know me quite well enough to know how terrifying that should make you. But I would love to maybe get together and do this a little more often. We've now got you set up at yours so we can do it remotely. But I think getting together and talking to church leaders, talking to about the dichotomy. Like, you and I, we came up in a very similar background. We have a very similar story. You're in the ministry, I'm in business, and we find ourselves overlapping so often. I think there's a lot of people. I'm watching the numbers right now. I put in the description the word church, and people are tuning in because it's a hot topic. It's something that people know most of them know they need it. Most of them want it, but finding one doesn't. And so it's not maybe we get together and talk about maybe not LifePoint necessarily, maybe not our businesses necessarily, but the state of the church as it transforms and changes around this, because I think this is going to drive a shift.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think it would be cool to get together maybe every other week or so and just do something like this. And guys, our podcast is back. It's Bearded Branding and Marketing with Zach Walker. It's called Beyond the Beard is the name of the podcast, and it's Bearded Branding and Marketing. So get on Apple iTunes, get on wherever you listen to podcasts, Podbean, Amazon Prime, wherever you listen to your podcast, and find that, because this content will go out there as well as live on YouTube and all that. But guys, the churches need your help. Okay. So if you have experience doing what we're doing, reach out. They need help. Whether they're going to ask for it or not is a whole different ballgame. Fortunately, because I ask people for a lot all the time, they have no problem calling me and asking for things back, right? And so I've been fortunate to be able to help, but I have equipment, guys. I've got stuff over here that I'm not using. If you need it, if you're a church, if you're a business owner, I mean this. Call me. I'll give you something to borrow until you can get up enough money to build your own. I will help you set up a studio. I will do whatever I've got to do to help you because my heart is for helping people. I think more than anything, what I've learned in the last 2.5 years being in business is I'm not as good of a business person as I would be if I didn't care as much as I do. And so honestly, I can truly say I care about helping you. And I know that the church cares about helping everybody. So to that note, I know it's hard right now, economically, at home, it's hard. Guys, you're not alone in this one. We're all happy to help. I know churches are begging to help right now. I mean, they would love to be a part of your story and helping you respond from this because it's all God anyway. So at the end of the day, guys, we are going to head towards I'm going to let them start back towards Decatur maybe at some point here in the near future. As always, it's been a real blast getting together. John, I appreciate you letting me put you on the spot, man.
Enjoyed it, man.
Corona. There it is. All right, guys. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. All right.